Hello and welcome here to TalkFCB, and in the absence this week of La Liga, we're going to fill our time with international friendlies and international European qualifiers, and today we're going to be previewing the match between Spain and France, which will take place tomorrow night in a very, very big friendly match, which may seem bigger than it actually is, because for Spain it's a big game. They need to use these games wisely now. We've seen at the World Cup, things aren't going so smoothly, players have moved on, players have retired, there's new players integrated into the squad, and they need to do something with their style. It's become a bit slow, it's become a bit predictable, teams are knowing how to combat it, they're knowing how to play against it, and Vicente Del Bosque took a big decision when he decided to stay on as the Spanish manager. Now he has to change it, he has to do something a bit different, and that's the key here. They brought in different players to the squad, they brought in some new names, and they have to give them that bit extra. They've got to change things somehow, or I don't see Spain progressing in the way they should, because the players they have, you look at their squad and the players they've named, they are world-class players, and they do have a side full of top quality. They just need to use it in the right way, in a style which really fits their players, the profile, and I think they can become the best team, the best nation in the world again, but it will take some tinkering and it will take some changes. So if we have a look at the squad in general, we start in goal. Iker Casillas, of course, the captain, not going to be left out of the squad. Victor Valdez has an injury. Pepe Reina, the new Bayern Munich number 2, has been left out of the squad. In comes David De Gea, who didn't get many games last year with Spain. Never really got a chance with Valdez and Casillas in front of him. And also Kiko Casilla, the Espanyol goalkeeper, which is an interesting one because Kiko Casilla has been very, very good. I'm very surprised actually that nobody has actually signed him from Espanyol. A very, very solid keeper, still quite young as well, and he got a bright future ahead of him. But what I would do personally with the goalkeeping situation, I know Casillas is the captain, but as we've seen with Real Madrid, Casillas is not on top form at the moment. He's not urging with confidence. In these sort of games, in the friendly matches, I would start with David De Gea. I think watching him at Man United, the way he's grown in the last few years, the way he's performed in the Premier League under pressure is very, very good. He's come on leaps and bounds as a goalkeeper, and I think if you play him now and you integrate him into the squad and get to the confidence that he has at Man United, I think he could become the Man United goalkeeper for the next 10 years, and it's that simple. The Spain goalkeeper, he can become that goalkeeper that is constant in the side because he is so young. He's still got a lot left, to give in his career. And I think he can really do special things, David De Gea, and I would start integrating him now, start giving him the responsibility in these types of matches. Defensive duties go to Sergio Ramos, Dani Carvajal, Juan Fran. Those all went to the World Cup. Carvajal just missed out on the World Cup selection, which is probably a bit harsh because he had a very, very good season. He'll be in the squad. Got a battle with Juan Fran for that right-back spot. Interesting choice from Del Bosque. He's gone with San Jose from Athletic Bilbao, which is surprising because there's a number of defenders in Spain which you could have called upon, the likes of Inigo Martinez. So San Jose is an interesting choice. It'll be interesting to see how he's used. Got quite a few goals actually last season from the defensive position. Again, an interesting one again. Raul Albiol, Vicente Del Bosque seems very, very, he does this quite a lot. He calls up Albiol, he seems to like him. Marc Bartra called up. Jordi Alba, Azpilicueta complete the defence. Interesting selection is Gerard Piqué not there. Del Bosque said that he had a hip injury and that he wouldn't be fit enough to play. Well, that was funny because Luis Enrique played Piqué against Villarreal on the weekend and there was nothing wrong with him and he played actually very, very well. So, surprising that Piqué has been left out. Nice to see Marc Bartra in the squad, see what he can do. He's not really been given the authority and the confidence at Barca at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see if he can put in a good performance for the Spanish national side. Azpilicueta is a good one. Chelsea fullback, done very, very well in the Premier League. Kept his place even though the signing of Felipe Luis at the moment, and he's having a very, very good season, and he's a very, very good player, still quite young as well. Sergio Busquets and Ander Iturraspe again called up for Spain. Nice to see another player from Bilbao. A very, very good player. Iturraspe, won't be known by everyone, but for those who do watch Spanish football, you'll know that he is a very, very accomplished defensive midfielder. Very good on the ball, very, very good at holding midfield and, anchoring that role between the midfield and defence. He's a very, very good player. Cesc Fabregas, Santi Cazorla, Pedro, Isco, David Silva, Iniesta, Koke. Very interesting choices in midfield. I mean, they've just got so many options in midfield. Of course, you've got Thiago Alcantara, who can also go into that. Fabregas, of course, had a brilliant start of the season with Chelsea. Same with Santi Cazorla, actually. I've seen him, play some really good games for Arsenal so far this season. Looked like he may be on his way out, but he stayed there. Pedro, not really discovered his best form, but he always does seem to put in a good performance for Spain. Isco, back in the Real Madrid setup, a sort of, he comes on here and there, a little bit more game time for him, but still not that much. Nice to see him back in the Spain side, because I think he could have a bright future in the Spanish national side. David Silva's been good for Man City. Of course, Iniesta, who has now been ruled out of this game, by the way, with a knee injury, so he will not be playing tomorrow night. He was originally in the squad, but he's had to pull out. Koke from Atletico Madrid, they've got to find a way to get him in the team, because if you do get him in the team, he's another young player who can be there for the next 10 years. He is the man who could possibly take over the reins of the likes of Xabi Alonso and Xavi. Those two have retired, and it's going to be very, very difficult to fill the role and to fill the gap left by those two. But I'm sure there's players in this squad, young players, who feel they can step up and they can take that initiative. The strikers, as far as strikers go, Raul Garcia, he's not really a striker, but he can play in that position. Interesting inclusion, first call out for him. Diego Costa had a fantastic start of the season at Chelsea, and Paco Alcacer, who has again a first call out for him, the young striker from Valencia. Great to see him called up. Had a really, really good season last season, breakthrough season. Young striker, very, very good in front of goal. He's sort of a box player. He'll snap anything up in the box. I'm not going to start comparing it to David Villa, but he's that sort of player. He's a finisher. He's a guy who's going to get you goals. And with David Villa, of course, coming to the end of his career now, you do need somebody again to take over those reins. And that's what it's about. It's about players coming in and announcing themselves and showing what they can do in these games. And Raul Garcia is an interesting one as well, because he plays, of course, very well with Diego Costa last season for Atletico Madrid. Those two played very, very well up top, and they helped each other perform, which may be needed at Spain, because Costa at the World Cup didn't really seem to settle in that well, didn't do that well in terms of how they're going to go forward, how they're going to play around him, they're going to be a bit more direct, how they're going to get the ball into him. It just didn't quite stick at the World Cup, and he wasn't entirely fit, but it'll be interesting to see how he does in these sort of games, because it's a very, very big thing for him, because he's been included in the squad, he's been brought in instead of going to Brazil to play, and they've got to find a way of fitting him in now, because he is such a good player, Diego Costa, but it's just integrating him into the style of Spain, which is becoming a bit more difficult than I think was anticipated by Del Bosque, but I'm sure they'll find a way to do it. There's some really exciting names. If I was a Spanish follower, which of course I am, I'm excited by the players that have been called up here, the likes of Alcacer, seeing Koke Itaraspe in the squad, young players, Marc Bartra coming up, Dani Carvajal, David De Gea. So, there's some very, very good names, very, very good talent, and you just hope it can come together for Spain, because, you do miss them when you're looking at it, and you're looking at the way they're going to play, but there's some very, very good names in there, and they're against a decent French side. Of course, most of the emphasis today in this podcast has been on Spain, but take a quick look at the French squad. Hugo Lloris, Steve Mandanda, and Ruffier from Saint-Etienne, the French goalkeepers. Mathieu Debuchy, good start of the season at Arsenal. Lucas Digne for Paris Saint-Germain. Juventus signing Patrice Evra. Koscielny has been ruled out of this squad with an injury, replaced by Jeremy Mathieu from Barcelona. Nice to see him included in the French squad. Mangala, who's not really played for Man City since he moved there. Bakary Sagna, the same goes for him. Mamadou Sakho, Raphael Varane, and Johan Cabaye into the midfield. Matuidi, Mavuba, Pogba, Schneiderlin, Sissoko. And the forwards, Karim Benzema, Remy Cabella, Antoine Griezmann, Lacazette, Loic Remy, and Valbuena, who's made his move to Russia. So I think with the French squad, I'm not going to talk too much detail into them, but there was one thing I think maybe Didier Deschamps didn't quite do in the World Cup, maybe something he should do, try and integrate a bit more, is making sure Paul Pogba has got that key role. Because I think if you're looking at that squad, you're looking at the names there, they've got some very, very decent players, some very, very good talent, young players as well. But the one player you look at is Paul Pogba. If you can get him in a key role, if you can build your side around him and integrate him into the system, then you've got a really good base there. And I think Paul Pogba is a man who can really do big things for the French national side if you're given the responsibility. I think Didier Deschamps has got to find a way of making sure he's the key man, everything goes through him, because I think Paul Pogba can do some really special things. Of course, the likes of Antoine Griezmann still got a lot more to give for France. There's players in this squad which can do really well. Mangala can be strong at the back with Sakho. Varane, of course, upcoming centre-back at Real Madrid. Benzema, of course, a very, very avid scorer at the World Cup, did very well. So it's not going to be easy for Spain. A lot of new players in the Spanish squad will have to be on their game to beat quite an established French squad. Not really done much tinkering, Deschamps, with this squad, but it's going to be a very, very interesting game. It's only a friendly, of course, but it's all about making sure that you're making your squad. You're bringing the right names in, you're calling up the players, and they're giving performances, and that's what it's about in these friendly matches, is seeing what the young players can do. And I hope that we see Spain put in a good performance, and I hope the young players give a bit more, and to what we saw at the World Cup with Spain, because that was disappointing, and I want to see them come back from that. So that's this preview here between Spain and France. It's going to be played tomorrow night if you want to watch that one, and I'm sure it'll be a great game. There's a lot of other international friendlies on as well. This is the one of the pick of the bunch. Germany, Argentina is another one, a replica of the World Cup final, but this should be a good game. So thanks for watching. As always, guys, please leave your match predictions below. What do you think the score will be, and how do you think Spain will get on in this one? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon in the next podcast.